Hey, this is Michelle here from BabyFe Bilingual. Today I'm going to walk you through how to use Google Slides to enhance virtual learning for your students and give you a sneak peek of our latest product available on Teachers Pay Teacher. Come on, let's get started. So if you go to Teacher Pay Teacher and you search at the top, you search for BabyFe, we will show up as a seller. And then you click on that and it'll bring you to this page, the one-stop shop for primary resources. And then when you scroll down, you'll see some of our products. Our latest product is our Nursery Rhyme word work. And so this is something I'm really excited about, and that's why I made this video, because I really think it'll help a lot of teachers who are kind of struggling shifting between the traditional schooling model to this now virtual learning. What do I do? You know what to teach but it's how to teach it, and this is how. So we're going to click here. It costs $7, which, believe me, your money will go very far because this is an editable document. And so even though I give you a starting point, you can take this in a million different directions. Your teacher brain will just explode with how many things you can do with this document. So $7, in my opinion, is worth it. So you go, you add to cart, and then you view cart and checkout. Then you're going to just get one license. Unless you're trying to share it with others in your school, then you would get multiple licenses. And so then you go to secure checkout. It'd be nice if I had a gift card, but I do not. But if you do, this is what you should use it on. So secure checkout. So after you purchase the document, you should get a screen like this where you now can add the document to your Google Drive. It's actually a very simple process, but before you click, you want to think to yourself, where do you want to send the document? Because yes, you can share it between accounts, but you want to just keep it simple. So when you click add to Google Drive, it's going to ask you which account do you want. I have a bunch of accounts. I want to save it to this account. You would definitely want to think about saving it to whichever account is linked to your Google Classroom, because that's where it's going to function and live and be the most helpful for you in your virtual classroom. Then it's going to tell you, give you some disclaimers, and you push allow. And now it's adding to your Google Drive. Yay! All right, so successfully added. Now from here, you literally can just click view in Google Drive. So I'm going to click that, but I'm also going to show you how to get to it from your email. So if you click that button, it opens up, boom, you have it, you have access to it. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you are new to Google and you're not familiar with how to navigate the slides, it's very simple. So when you open up your Gmail account, you have a picture icon saying what account you're in. When you look to the left of that, there's this little waffle looking situation. You're going to click that. That's your Google Apps, and it gives you a list of apps. Now your Google Slides is going to be located within the Drive. Drive has plethora of options. Then you're going to look in they make a folder for you. It's actually extremely convenient. It's called TPT Purchases. You go in there, easy peasy, and you open up. There we go. So now I'm just going to show you guys a little bit about things you can do in this document. Okay, so as we scroll through the document, this is basically how it will look when you're teaching and how it will look to the students, because you don't want to go into presenter mode, because in presenter mode, no one can edit it. It's just almost like a movie at that point, and you're just viewing. But we don't want passive learners. We want active, engaged learners, and so they're going to stay in this screen which is new for some people. You know, you think, oh, it's a PowerPoint, you should just push present. No. In this case, we're going to keep it here because we want them to interact with the document. Okay, and so you can see when students are logged in, you can actually see which slide they're in. So I also want to show you how to add your students to your document. There's one way through actual Google Classrooms, but then also when you're just working in the Drive, you can add people. And you want to just come over here to where it says share. Right now, only I can see it. You're going to click share, and then you're going to add whatever the email address is of the student, and you want to make sure that it says editor, because if it doesn't, then the kids can't do anything. You can either be a viewer, a commenter, or an editor, and you want to make sure that they can edit, and so that they can actually move the items around. And so once you do that, you can send the invitation. And yes, even though they're not in my G Suite. And now that person is added. So now you can see one of my students has logged on, and I can tell which slide he's in based on where his picture is in the document. And so, you know, I have them on a Zoom call and I say, all right, I need you to go to Old McDonald. So now I can see that Turner is in the document and he is on this slide with the farm animals, and I can see he's touching the pig, moving the pig around, versus when I touch it, this is what it looks like. And from his end, he can see when I'm touching the cow. Now he's touching the cow and moving the cow around. Then I can see if he's on a different slide, I can see the work he's doing on there. So now when I look, he is no longer, his picture is no longer in the corner here. He's working on the next slide. And so I can see him moving the letters. I can tell that he was almost about to type, and I can redirect him that I just want him to move these letters. Uh-oh. Does C say ch? No, not by itself. And so then I would help him change that and think about what letters say ch, okay, and how it's not just C by itself. When you're looking up to where your students are, you can tell which student is which one because it'll say it, but also because of the color. Each person comes up as a different color, and then when they select on an item, their item comes up that color. So his has a pink ring, so when he's selecting something, it shows up as pink. And so it's very user friendly. I love how you can interact with the students in real time, live, and have real feedback for them. This is our title page, and then as you scroll down on the side here, you see all the slides that are available in this document. There are 27 slides if I scroll all the way to the bottom. And I also give you some lesson plan ideas. We're going to talk a lot more about that. I give you lyrics to all the songs in the nursery rhymes. There's 5 in this particular document. And then we talk about virtual classroom management, because as any educator knows, it doesn't matter where you are. If you are working with children, you have to have some kind of a game plan. You have to have a classroom management strategy, and you can't just go in there and think that kids are going to just act right because it's online. No. So I give 3 pretty basic but very important guidelines for classroom management. One being to do a pre-assessment. It can be cumbersome, but it's definitely a best practice, and it helps teachers, as many of you know, to gauge where your children are, and helps to avoid presenting work that's too easy or too hard. Then, with this whole virtual learning, especially those of us who work with younger kids, you have to take time, just like you would in a regular classroom, taking time to teach the classroom, teach the materials. You have to do the same thing with virtual learning. So you have to take time to review computer basics. It is not intuitive how to use a mouse. It's not intuitive how to use a trackpad. And we already know typing is like a third grade level skill, apparently. And so don't expect it to happen overnight. If you need to take a week or two just to practice moving items around, that's fine. And it's a skill that they'll use the rest of their life, so don't feel like you're wasting time. So take time to do those basics computer skills, and also remind students that the same rules that are in the classroom apply online. So you have to take turns and be respectful. You can't have kids all calling out and moving other people's objects when they're not supposed to be, and so on and so forth. You have to be respectful of other people's learning. So those are just the fundamentals of classroom management virtually. And so let's get into the lesson plan itself, and just kind of how you can use this document to have a really rich lesson every day, if you ask me. So if you have a nursery rhyme unit, this is an ideal document for you. Everything is editable except for the background picture. So anything with a label you can move about. Each image, and I give 5 in this document, which has 2 to 4 clip art photos with labels. Now, at the time that you get the document, the photos will be grouped. That means they'll be put together with the label, and wherever the picture moves, the words will move. If you don't like that or you don't want the words, that's okay. It's editable. So you can change it. So you click until you see a little line. Boom. Maybe you don't like that capital C. Maybe, capital C is not your thing, and you want to change it to lowercase. Maybe you want to call it a chick. I don't know. It's your choice. And so you can add images. If you have your own clip arts to add, you can definitely add those to this document. You can take it away. You can do whatever you want. It's editable. Okay, and I did that on purpose because I wanted this document to be a living document that can grow with you through your instruction, through the unit, and not just be a one-time, okay, on to the next thing. And so depending on what phonics skill you're teaching or writing skill you're teaching, you can always change the text, change the pictures to apply to your students. So I happen to like it saying chicken with a capital C, so I'm going to change it back. All right, so like I was saying, you can change whatever you want. So the images and the labels are grouped. To ungroup them, if for some reason you don't like them together, you just do right click or control click, whatever kind of, depending on the type of operating system you have or computer, and then you click here where it says ungroup. I have a MacBook, so Apple users, it's control click, and then you would ungroup, and there you go. So this page is really, in my opinion, a great opportunity for basic comprehension and vocabulary building. I'm going to group these back, so I'm going to click, this is clicked, and then I'm going to hit shift and click the chicken. Now I'm telling my computer I want these 2 items, and then I'm going to push control click or right click, and I'm going to say group. So now that they are going together. All right. So in my opinion, these are great for vocabulary building. So what I like to do with my students is just ask the basic question of what do you see? And this is a no pressure way for kids to just talk about things they already know. And so you can also use this as an informal assessment as a way to gauge what do they know and how can you build from that. And so what do you see? And then when they don't use certain vocabulary words, like maybe barn or apple or grass, maybe they realize this is a chicken, but they don't know that chickens actually can be called hens or roosters, depending on the sex. And so it's just an opportunity for learning, and you can build on whatever knowledge they do have. This is a great entry point for every student in your classroom to practice manipulating the objects on the screen. So first you want to teach them how to just click until you see a blue square around the object. That way you know you're clicking on what you want. Then to move, you have to wait until you see the little cross. That tells me that I can move it, move it, move it wherever I want. So you just want to have that basic lesson with them about clicking and dragging on this screen in particular, because on the next screen it does get a little more difficult only because the objects are smaller. But again, with practice, it will be fine with every student. I've done this with 4-year-olds and they were able to do it. So I do think that elementary school children will be fine. As I state in the lesson plans, this is also a great opportunity to work on comprehension and in particular prepositional phrases. And so you can play a game with them like I Spy. Maybe I spy with my little eye an animal in the mud. Which animal is in the mud? And then they would say, oh, it's the pig. And then maybe you can say, can you take the pig out of the mud and put him on the grass? And these are just basic comprehension skills that for our English language learners or early readers, this is a very important skill that can easily be overlooked but should not be. Okay? So you practice your prepositional skills, and then this is when I love to practice spelling. It gives the kids a sense of pride when they're able to see the word and spell it without the pressure of having to remember how it's spelled. And I use this particularly with kids that I'm trying to teach letters to, because it's a chance to look and ID the letter and also practice the skill of reading from left to right. And so I'll say, what animal is this? And they'll say chicken, and I'll say, how do you spell chicken? And of course, it's like, ooh, I know. It's because they're looking right at it. But that's okay. They're practicing their letters. They're practicing going from left to right. And that's important. Those are important foundational skills. So just as a recap, this page is great for basic comprehension, asking kids what do they see and building on their vocabulary knowledge. Practice manipulating the objects, clicking and dragging. It's also great for practicing prepositional phrases and spelling. Now let's go on to the next slide. So on this slide, this is where kids also can practice spelling, and you can really have fun with this. And like I said, the only thing that's fixed is the background. All the letters can be changed by you or the kids. So you want to really think about what you're trying to teach. What's your goal? In this particular instance, I'm trying to teach beginning sounds. Okay, so you see that all the beginning sounds are missing, and we talk about what sound, which letter makes this sound. If we're trying to spell chicken, ch, 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 which letters say ch? And then we would talk about how CH is a blend that says ch. Or if we're trying to spell cat, which letter says k? You make them think about, you stretch it out. You say, what's the first sound in pig? P-ig. And then you say, what letter says P? P. Awesome. Where's the P? They find the P. They make sure they have their little T. They drag it. And now they spell pig. And then you make them spell the whole thing. How do you spell the whole word? P-I-G. And it's awesome. You can really do whatever you want with this page. You can leave it all blank, put all the letters over in the letter bank, and just have them spell it from scratch. You can do the ending sounds, whatever that group is working on is really ideal. You can do blends, digraphs. You can also present it so that the letters are scrambled like this, or they are orderly, so you can see all the C's, all the I's, and then all of the individual letters. It really depends on you, and I just really wanted this document to allow as much teacher creativity and freedom as possible. So just as a recap, the Let's Sound It Out page is great for learning letter sounds and phonics skills, beginning and ending sounds, blends and digraphs, and vowels. all great skills, all very important when you're learning how to read, and that's what this page is for. You can put whatever letters you want in here and spell it out. On our next page, this is when you start to work on syntax and building sentences and the rules of a sentence, beginning with capital letters, ending with a punctuation. And so again, these are editable. If you want, you can add a question mark, and add a question word like who, what, when, or where. It's all up to you. And so just have fun. And to that point, this slide is also making sentences, but with a few more lines, because I know that sentences are not simply 5 words long all the time. And so I'm trying to give people more flexibility to add longer sentences and maybe prepositions that can make the sentences juicier. Because that's what we teach our kids, right? So this slide is great for practicing sight words, practicing capitalization, practicing punctuation, and syntax in general. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is it blank? What am I supposed to do with that? And what you're supposed to do is really stretch your teacher muscles. This is a chance for you to be creative. Like I said, I didn't want to be your kid's teacher. Every classroom is different. Every student is different, and so you know your kids best, and really I wanted to give you the opportunity as the teacher to do what your class needed. So if you say you just like the words I had, you can copy them, and so you would click and drag your mouse, and that tells your computer you want to select all of these items, and you can do Command C if you're a Mac user or Apple user like me, or you can do Control C, I believe, for PCs, and then you go to the next slide that you want to paste on, and you do Command V, and it'll put them all there if that's what you want to do, and maybe you just want to change out a couple words, right? So maybe you just want to change this to hat, and let me stretch that out because apparently hat is longer than cat. You want to change this to house, and then you stretch it out because you don't want it looking crazy. I don't know. It's your world. Okay, so if that's what you want to do, be my guest. I just wanted to give that flexibility. So really the only slides that I give letters and words on are the first 4 slides. After that, it's blank. So if you look, all the rest are blank. And then for the purposes of sharing this with other teachers, I wanted to give ideas, but not smother you with what I think will make the most sense. So I think that this document is also great because, as I said, you probably will be using it in your Google Classroom. This can be something that the whole class is in and they're working through it at the same time, or it can be something that you just save it for each student to do independently as classwork or as homework. And so you can either save the entire presentation or save selected slides. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go to File, scroll down to Make a Copy, and in this particular instance, I would probably do selected slides, and then I might say that this is going to be John's nursery rhyme word work, and you could share it with the same people, or you can remove your notes from it, your choice. I feel that if you're saving it for individual students, I wouldn't share it to all the same people. You just share it to that one student. And you say okay, and it will open up the new document, and it's just that one, and now you have some homework for that one student or some classwork for that one student for them to work in by themselves if that's what you wanted, and then you share it with that person. Okay, and so I really like that option as well. Still has the same functionality, but it's more personalized for that student, and so you can change the words for that student so that they are, if they are not necessarily at the same level, maybe they're advanced, maybe they're struggling a little bit, but you can now make it personal. You can share it with a group. It's really up to you. It's a lot of flexibility with this document. I am going to show you my Twinkle Twinkle Little Star slide because it's very easy to manipulate, and I wanted to show you if obviously I'm going for a geometry lesson here. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high like a diamond. And so that's why I started using the diamond, and then I figured, that could go into other conversations about other shapes. So if, say, you don't really want to do a diamond, maybe you wanted to do a rhombus, which is what I like to call this shape for my little folks, because I want them using more rigorous language, I can change the text to rhombus. Also, I can add other shapes. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Insert, go down to shape, and then I'm going to add a rectangle. Boop. And now that's like an ugly gray. We're going to change the color. So you go here to fill color, yellow, line, yellow. Okay. Then I'm trying to give myself some room. Then we're going to add a text box. And it's looking kind of funny, so we're going to add highlighter. Boom. Rectangle. Okay, and I love to use Comic Sans mainly because of the letter A. I love how it's an A that actually looks like A's we teach in class, not, this funky looking A that nobody ever writes ever in history. So I use Comic Sans basically with all my work. And that's just the teacher in me. And so that is it. That is really it. And now I have added a rectangle. And if you recall what I said earlier, then you would group it. So hold, shift. Now I have both. Right click, group. Now I have 5 shapes. Okay. So if you're doing a shapes lesson, boom, there you go. And you can talk about how to spell the shapes. How many shapes are there? How many sides there are? You can talk about the color. You can change the colors. Maybe you can make 5 of the same shape and do different sizes. Compare the sizes and see and order them from smallest to biggest. It's limitless. I love this document. I cannot say it enough. Okay, so again, the rest of the slides, the rest of the spelling and sentence slides are blank, but I know that all of these great teachers out here will have something to put in them, and I know that this is going to be a great year of virtual learning. So we have Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. They fall off and they bump their head. And the itsy bitsy spider who goes up the water spout. Then the rain comes and washes him out. Oh no. And then Bingo was his name-o. This is a limitless document. I hope you enjoyed. Again, I think this is a great document. I hope you do as well. Please head over to Teacher Pay Teacher and get your copy. This is going to be a great school year. See you next time.